#True Cyberspace. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Mr. Rishit Jhunjhunwala, the Chief Product Officer and Managing Director of Truecaller India. Mr. Rishit is the Chief Product Officer and Managing Director India for Truecaller. He has been associated with the organization for close to 7 years. He is a seasoned professional with over 25 years of experience in the technological industry. Mr. Rishit joined Truecaller in 2015 as VP of Product and has led the evolution of product since then, becoming Chief Product Officer in 2020. Mr. Rishit brings in a wealth of experience, not just gained during his time at Truecaller, but also at his past stint as an entrepreneur. He is highly proficient with the technology sphere in the country and helps drive growth of Truecaller through his expertise. Prior to joining Truecaller, he founded a startup venture in the Indian mobile VAS space called Verity Technologies. He is also the co-founder and the company Cloud Magic in year 2011. I'd now request Mr. Rishit Jhunjhunwala to please give the welcome note and set the context for the panel discussion.
Thank you so much. Firstly, a very good afternoon to everyone. I'd like to thank each and every one of you to join us at the launch of our online safety program, which is called #TrueCyberSafe. This is in association with the CyberPeace Foundation. So thank you very much for joining, everyone. Truecaller is firmly committed to the security and protection of personal information and offers a suite of services to provide a secure environment for everyone. Our app, Truecaller, the main flagship app, is a secure and trusted platform that is used by more than 300 million people globally, with India being our home market right now. Cyberspace today is in its 5th domain of human activity. During the last 2 decades, the internet has grown exponentially in terms of reach as well as its scope. Equally, our dependence upon cyberspace, for things like social, economic, governance, and security functions has also grown exponentially. While the access of all the information that is available through a global, interconnected, internet empowers individuals, it also poses many, many challenges in terms of online safety today. Truecaller's mission has been to enable safe and relevant conversations between people and to help people fight fraud and scam. Personal safety as a subject itself is very close to Truecaller. We've launched various campaigns and initiatives in the past, such as It's Not Okay, such as Take the Right Call, and most recently, Desh Ka Truecaller, all of which were meant to raise awareness amongst people. Additionally, last year, we launched a free app. This was an app revolving around personal safety called Guardians. Guardians is an app that works quietly in the background. And if you don't feel safe, or if you're in the middle of some sort of an emergency situation, all you need to do is tap the emergency button and it will notify all your guardians about your location and the situation you are in. In this emergency mode, guardians will be notified so that they can track your precise location, they can perhaps reach your location, or they can send help. In a different mode called the normal mode, the app is designed to run quietly in the background, share location intermittently, while continuing to preserve the battery life. The emergency mode would also share your location with community guardians. So they might not be exactly people that you know, but people who have volunteered to be guardians that might be in the vicinity. This app had more than 1 million downloads in just 5 months and is now continuing to help people stay safe across the world. So we're very, very proud of these things that we've done. Now, additionally, Truecaller is taking a step to train the youth to understand their online presence better. This aims at helping not only to develop the skills for enjoying digital technology, but also aiding them in nurturing the faculties of critical thinking. This partnership empowers women as well as teenagers with the right information and tools to help them better navigate the complex world of the internet. The CyberPeace Foundation is helping us create a digital literacy program which will help build awareness amongst new users that are coming online today. This curriculum of the learning program that we're talking about is structured to match the needs of current times. So it will focus on best practices to manage online risks, refer to real world incidents that take place, possible remedial actions, share resources that are available to report such actions, and so on. The study material will be conducted in the local language of the states that are targeted for this. The program aims to empower participants to be aware of their digital rights and responsibilities. Point two, to choose consciously by making safe, smart, and informed choices. Point three, it's about hygiene, so that they are hygiene conscious by following healthy online practices. And then recognize and manage online risks that take place in everyday lives. And responsibility, where we'll teach netizens to follow responsible behavior in cyberspace. This training will be held in 5 regions across India: New Delhi, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Odisha, and the Northeast region, where we actually aim to train more than 15 lakh citizens. So we're very, very happy with this as well, that it's reaching out to a very large audience as well. We're very excited to partner with CyberPeace Foundation, of course, an award-winning, non-partisan civil society organization, which is a think tank of cybersecurity and policy experts with the vision of pioneering cyberpeace initiatives to build collective resilience against cyber crimes and global threats of cyber warfare. In a very fast growing market like India, the internet is of course a boon, but one needs to learn how to use it safely to utilize it to its best potential. We're very hopeful that this initiative will succeed in helping netizens create a safety net around them with the learnings from this program. With that, I'd like to thank members of the CyberPeace Foundation, Mr. Maheshwari, Colonel Nidish Bhatnagar, Mr. Vineet Kumar, and others. Thank you very much for making for your presence here and making this possible for us.
Thank you so much for that deep insight into the cyberspace and the cyber hygiene of the country, sir. Now, I would like to bring on the platform a survivor for my cybercrime story. The survivor joined here today in the meeting is Miss Sandra Manoj, who's a 22 years old master's student and currently training to be a counseling psychologist from Montfort College, Bangalore. She's an avid reader, pet parent to one very mischievous dog, and strong advocate for intersection feminism.
Hello, I hope I'm audible and you can hear me. Hi, my name is Sandra and I'm here to just talk for a little bit. So I'm 22 right now, and when Facebook was a big thing and everybody was on it, I was only like age 10. And to play Farmville, I joined Facebook and social media at a very young age. So I've actually lived more of my life on the internet than I have without the internet. Which means I've been on the internet for 12 years and I've not had the internet for 10, right? So since I've been on the internet for a very, very long time and from such a young age, the concept of privacy, internet privacy, was very different from when I was younger to when I was now. When I was younger, it was okay to put your name out on the internet, but never tell them your age, where you're from. But right now, if you look at a lot of the young people who join the internet, it's okay for them to put even their mental health triggers, their political affiliations, their gender, sexuality, and all of these orientations on the internet. So the way we look at privacy and how we look at ourselves has changed quite a bit. Another thing that I think a lot of women especially will relate to is on the internet, the way women are spoken to has changed a lot. When I was young and on the internet, it was, anonymity was something people always hid behind. But now that I'm older and that I'm a young woman, something I always notice is people just sliding into the DMs, which is when someone just sends you unsolicited messages and never really nice, happy things. It's always vulgar, it's always inappropriate, demeaning. And initially, I was always scared of getting a message like this. I was scared of putting myself out on the internet. I always blamed myself. And there was a lot of shame associated to those messages. Wouldn't talk about it, wouldn't tell people. But now, like in the last few years, I think since I turned like 19 and since I realized that, oh, what they're doing is not okay. In college, we had these conversations, and our professors would point out to us that it's not actually your fault if someone is treating you that way, right? It is somebody's decision to do that and not your fault. It's never a victim's fault. And I think that's when I started doing this. It's most just for me to have fun with it, treating something this serious kind of casually, so people talk about it. It's whenever someone sends me an inappropriate message on Facebook or Instagram, I take a screenshot with their name involved, and I tell them that unless they plan to apologize or unless they plan to do something and change their behavior, I'm just going to post it onto my feed or onto my story highlights. Because if they are so comfortable with treating you without any respect and treating you not like a person, then I will do the same. Usually, when I do mention that, hey, I have an option, I can do something about the way you're treating me, they're very quick to backtrack and they're very quick to apologize. They immediately start calling me Didi. They will say that they need, they're going to be better people. Please don't talk about this. This is going to bring shame to my name, my family, and so on. But it seems like they're not aware of this till you bring in the option of a legal or, a police or like something that actually holds them accountable. And a lot of people aren't aware. So occasionally people will try to say that I'm bluffing, and they will try to call out my bluff, which is when they realize that I am not. So it goes up on my story or it goes up on my Facebook feed, and immediately then the comments, and I always make it clear that I don't want them to get any hate or them to get any messages. This in itself is enough, because immediately I will get a message saying, can you please take that down? I'm so sorry. And then they realize that I am not bluffing. And it also starts conversation with a lot of people messaging me going like, oh, this happens to me. I didn't know it wasn't my fault, and I didn't know I could do something about it. Which is when I realized that people my age maybe will understand. The 22-year-olds, the 23-year-olds might understand that it's not their fault. But there are 14, 15, 16-year-olds on the internet who, when I was that age and now when they are this age, they don't understand that it's not their fault. And I think something uh, like an internet safety manual is important. A course that teaches somebody is important, because I am like upper class. I am in a very, like, I'm in an institute that is supposed to help you deal with all these things. And there are so many people who don't have the same opportunity and privilege as me. So something like this, because when it comes to your safety and your security, there are so many things that are out of your hand, but people don't realize there are a lot of things you can do as well. So it's extremely important. And I'm so glad that there are people who care, there are companies who care, and there are people who are committed to safety, to internet safety, to protecting women and children, protecting people who don't know any better. And I'm so glad that there is something like this. And I'm glad that I was able to talk about something that I've been through. So yeah, I'm extremely thankful, and thank you.
Thank you, Sandra, for joining us today and sharing that story with us, and also simultaneously showing us the power of the internet once the individual makes his mindset strong. Now, I would like to Mr. Shri G. Narendranath, who's the Joint Secretary of Cyber National Security Council Secretariat, to please address the audience.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, the organizers, the CyberPeace Foundation, Truecaller, and I think Autobot Infosec is also another organization that you mentioned about, for giving me this opportunity to be the part of this launch of capacity building program, as we would call it. Now we are in the age of digital first. Whenever we talk of any scheme or any program where we want to reach out to a large audience or to provide facilities and services, you would find that it's all designed around using the digital platforms for delivering of the services and all. So you will find, and I've used this word that cyber is the new, or a digital world is the new horizontal. Like finance is a horizontal, where you'll find, irrespective of whatever activity you do, finance is one thing that's common. Whether you're talking in terms of entertainment, or in terms of business, or in terms of academics, you'll find that finance is something, and you will have a finance unit in each of the organizations. So cyber is one horizontal across, and you'll find that 100% you will find, or near to 100%, people would be using digital platforms for going about the daily activities. And it has also provided, the entry barriers that were there for people to express themselves or launch their creativity and, express their energy. That has gone. And you'll find that people from tier 2, tier 3 cities and tier 3 towns and small places are able to come forward and, unleash their creativity and, also present the skills that they have and the ideas that they have on the platform. So that is where you find that it's a very great tool, and one of the greatest tools of, modern day civilizations that's democratized the society and allowed people across all spectrums, irrespective of the socioeconomic status, to come on and then express themselves. Having said that, there are issues. I mean, some of the, especially I was listening to our, what's the name, Sandra, talk about as a survivor about the challenges that she had, when she was on the platform. There are also challenges for people who are, using it for the many first timers. One of the things, I'm a father of 2 children, especially 2 daughters. I was always concerned about online safety. I wanted them to use the digital platform. But then I was always concerned about, the type of content they would get access to, and the type of people that they would, get in contact with and touch with when they go onto the social media platforms. So this is where I think when you talk of capacity building, cyber hygiene is an important component of that, and cyber awareness is an important. But how to be using the digital platform is an important part. Of course, there are other aspects of capacity building, like, for example, making your system secure at the enterprise level or at an individual level. And then you also have people who understand deep technology to build those systems to make the things secure. So you have various levels of capacity building that should happen. But on a mass scale, if you talk of, cyber hygiene is something that is across the spectrum that is required. And like, at the schooling education, what you require is people to have the basic skills that they come out with, like reading, writing, and arithmetic is something that we expect the schools to take care of before anybody comes to college. We don't expect the colleges to, then pitch in and say that, this person doesn't have proper communication skills. And, you start giving him communication skills classes at the time. And that's a failure of the schooling system if the person doesn't come to college with basic communication skills. Now, I think a time has come where a child, before he comes to that level, or even he comes to high school level, he should have the basic cyber skills about how to stay safe online and to practice cyber hygiene. So now that we have a legacy population, who haven't gone through this of a type of sort of education, when you talk of the type of activities that you're taking care of, it's not only taking care of schooling so that people come up from high school level having proper skills on maintaining proper cyber hygiene, but I think you'll also have to take care of the legacy population which haven't been schooled in these skill set. It's like people who have not been properly schooled in communication skills. You have training centers to give them proper communication skills. So this retrofitting of people is something that has to be taken care of. I think your program of Stay Safe Cyber is going to take care both of the initial skill sets that the children supposed to have, plus also the retrofitting of the adult population that has come out of the schooling system without these basic skills. So I think it's important that your program looks at how to, for the children to stay safe online, and how to the senior citizens to stay safe online, how to have, what's the appropriate behavior that people should have when they are online, and how they should protect themselves. Especially, you have this cyberbullying and cyber stalking that happens. how to recognize cyberbullying and cyberstalking, recognize what is the sort of information they can post online and what they should not post online. Understand that once that information is posted online, that's perpetuity. It's for perpetuity. Whatever we might talk about, forgetting oneself on cyberspace, it's a difficult concept to be applied. So that they should recognize. Understand, how phishing happens, how to recognize phishing, how wishing happens, how to recognize wishing, and very important. And I'm looking at a program, and you talked about, how to report. That's an important part. We have the I4C, Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center. But it's important that all of them know about it. If you do a polling, I don't think across the spectrum, the complete population knows that this is where, like, if a crime happens, people know that's a police station that I have to go and report a crime. But for a cyber crime related, do they know that I4C is the place where you can go and report? Even if they do have access to I4C, do you have the competence or the skill sets to completely fill all the different information that is there? For an educated person itself, sometimes it's a challenge to fill up all the information. So how do they fill up that information? And I'm happy that you're using the local language to actually build up the skill sets. And for a multilingual country like ours, where people are very comfortable with the local language, I think it's important that you do that. You also are, I have a feeling that you must be aware of the ISEA program of MATI, the Information Security Education and Awareness Program, where there's a body of literature that's been developed for cybersecurity awareness, especially for the general population, for training of school teachers, so that in turn train children. In addition, you also talked about this. These people are going to be volunteers who are going to in turn proliferate the cyber hygiene principles across the time. It's good. I think it's some sort of a training of trainers that you're going to do, and then that in turn they will proliferate that. So I wish this program, I mean, it actually gels in with the type of activity that we're looking at from the National Cybersecurity Coordinator's Office and the National Security Council Secretariat in terms of capacity building and to make our cyberspace more space safe and keep our cyber citizens safe. So this whole program also fits into that and very properly dovetails into what we want. So I wish this program huge success. And one of the things I would like is that as you roll out the program, you would have a regular intermediate, effectiveness, assessment that you would do and tweak your program instead of, waiting till the complete 6 months to find out that whether the program is successful or not. So I hope that you have a very robust feedback mechanism for assessment of the effectiveness of the program, so that you can make any modifications that is required at the intermediate stage. So at the end of the program, you can say that, yes, I've trained so many people. You talked of 1,500,000 people that you want to train, that you have trained 1,500,000 cyber volunteers that will take the program across the country. With these words, I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I just wanted to step in and say, I'm Pragya, I lead public affairs. Thank you so much for joining us. And so we will absolutely make sure that we keep checking in with you with all the feedback we're getting. And, Vineet has put in a very robust program for us, and we will ensure that we are covering all the important elements. And if ever you have any inputs and feedback, we'll make sure we capture that. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for enlightening us with those golden words of wisdom, sir. Now, I would request Mr. Rishit and Mr. Narendra ji to officially launch the program with the video. I request the team secretary to please launch the video. Please.
Yeah, I think it's
Now,
paused.
Now, I would request all the panelists, along with Mr. Narendranath and Mr. Rishit, to please switch on their camera for a group photograph which is to be used for the press releases and social media posts.
Hi Abhishek, I'm so sorry to interrupt in between while you were speaking. I see Mr. Rakesh Maheshwari here. Rakesh sir, very good afternoon. Welcome to the platform. Thank you for joining us. Can you hear us?
No, Shivani.
Hi sir, we can see you. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining, sir. So over to you, Abhishek, and request all the panelists to please switch on their video and smile, please. We'll click a quick picture of all of you all together.
Thanks. Abhishek, you can go ahead, please.
Thank you, everyone. Now, I would like to introduce Ms. Pragya Mishra, who's the Director of Public Affairs, India Truecaller, and also the moderator for today's panel discussion. Ms. Pragya Mishra leads the public affair at Truecaller for India. As the third most used app in India, she is responsible for nurturing with key stakeholders spanning government, media, partners, civil society, and investors to forward Truecaller's mission to building trust by making communication safer. Ms. Pragya joined Truecaller from WhatsApp, where she was one of the early hires managing communications and driving reputation and advocacy efforts single-handedly for her first couple of years at the company. She has spoken at various public events like Harvard India Conference, NUSI SAS Conference in Singapore, and continues to advocate for a safer internet in many conversations held by the industry and civil society organizations. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you so much, Abhishek.
Hello, I just want to say, hello to my old friends, Mr. Sri Rakesh Maheshwari.
Thank you, sir.
And,
Thank you, sir.
Bhatnagar. Welcome. And I would like to say hello to Sri Harmeet Singh ji, whom I'm meeting for the first time.
Hello, Mr. Narendranath. Yeah, I think by the time you came in there, I had already left the environs of Delhi, and I've been out for the last 5 years and 2 in Kashmir. So I've been out of Delhi for 7 years now.
Okay.
Good. And these days, everybody meets everybody virtually. So I think this is the right way. Nice to see you. Right. And I see Colonel Nidish Bhatnagar also. I've been in touch with the RRU on different matters, but haven't had the pleasure of meeting him yet. So hi there, Colonel Saab, and Maheshwari Saab also. I don't think we bumped into each other before. Namaskar.
Namaskar. The pleasure is ours.
Yeah. And then RRU, we are having, lots of hopes and aspirations from RRU.
Yes, sir. Of course.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is almost as if it's a little bit of a reunion and also new introductions. I'm glad we could facilitate that. And thank you so much, Nagendra Ji and Rishit, for sharing your views and also sharing such insightful ideas around what we can do as part of this program. It's obviously a very important and an encouraging moment for us as far as the launch is concerned. Now I'd like to extend obviously a warm welcome to our esteemed panel speakers and also the audience who've tuned in today. We're very thankful that you've taken the time to be here. This is almost like the next part of the program, the panel discussion. So we'll quickly move into that. I think not much needs to be said on the importance and the prevalence of cyber fraud. We saw that in the last 2 years, especially during the pandemic. We were only communicating over our phones and SMSs and calls. And that really emphasized that as communication is moving online, it also brings with it challenges around spam, scam, and frauds. And at Truecaller, we take that very seriously. It's literally the core value that our product provides, which is caller identification, and we help then the community to mark whether these calls are spam, scams, or frauds. And we also work very closely, with METI, with the Ministry of Home, I4C, law enforcement, to make sure that we can curb this menace in the most efficient way as possible. So I'm going to quickly move into, introducing the panel. I don't think they need really an introduction, but, I'd really like to welcome Sri Rakesh Maheshwari ji, who's the coordinator at Cyber Law and E-Security at METI. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for taking time. Mr. Harmeet Singh, Commissioner of Police at Guwahati, Colonel Nidish Bhatnagarji, the Director of School of Information Technology, Artificial Intelligence and Cybersecurity at Rashtriya Raksha University, which is under the Ministry of Home. And of course, Vineet, my very important partner in launching this program. Welcome all of you. And I also just want to take a minute and set the context and also highlight Truecaller's commitment to building a safe digital environment for all. You know, user safety and women's safety has really been a top priority for us. And I came on board to really drive that agenda for, you know, at least the next few years, with a massive focus on it this year, especially with March coming around the corner. We have a lot of programs aligned for women's safety. You know, most people tell me ever since I've joined that they find Truecaller super helpful to identify who's calling them. And through this app, it also provides features, you know, which are very critical on making communication efficient, because once you know who's calling you, you're able to take that decision whether you want to take that call or not. Also, there's an interesting fact here. 50% of our user base is women. And so most women actually use Truecaller as their first line of defense when it comes to fighting harassment. And this is something which we focus on significantly, and you will see a lot of programs launching. And specifically in this partnership with CyberPeace Foundation, we are going to be focusing on how can women stay safe online, especially while communicating over phones and SMSs. You know, what steps can they take? Not only while, you know, blocking and reporting it on the Truecaller platform, but going ahead and taking action, like Sir mentioned. Do people know about the helpline numbers that are out there, the 112 helpline, the 1930 helpline, for people to go out and actually report these crimes so that law enforcement and government can take the right action? So our goal with this program is to provide clear, practical, actionable tips that users can take in order to have a much safer experience online. So I will, with this introduction, I will first turn to Mr. Rakesh Maheshwari. So with the, you know, the mission of spreading awareness about cybercrime and building capacity, I know METI, you know, launched the Cyber Surakshit Bharat program to strengthen the cybersecurity in the country. You know, I'd love to know a lot more about that program and what else that can be done.
Okay, so good afternoon to all of you, including our Captain Vineet Kumar and all my fellow panelists. See, Cyber Surakshit Bharat is a special program being conducted by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology through our NEGD division for CISOs in government. And we do understand that while the Chief Information Security Officers have a huge responsibility in government offices, they may not be fully aware of the latest trends in technologies, latest threats and vulnerability perspective, and what kind of support that they can get either from NIC or from STQC or from CERT. All of three happen to be government organizations, and in one way or other contributing a lot, either in terms of hosting the infrastructure or providing the testing and certification for security, including the audit services, as well as the first responder team, as the CERT is. CERT, of course, also provide a good number of other services. So therefore, Cyber Surakshit Bharat, for that reason, is actually a short duration program, a program of 1 week, meant for government CISOs to upgrade their knowledge and skills with respect to the latest, I should say, threat and security scenario in the country. So that's the aim of.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing that. So also, Narendra ji mentioned that you're also doing something about launching a manual on how can people stay safe online. So if there's anything you'd like to share on that, that would be wonderful.
Okay. See, Mr. Narendra ji did mention about information security education and awareness program being run through our, I should say, autonomous body, which is CDAC. So ISEA, for that reason, is one single program, and infosecawareness.in is one single web portal covering security aspects of all, I should say, the stakeholders, whether it is women, whether it is children, teachers, students, parents, government officers. So it does cover almost all kind of, I should say, stakeholders in different ways. Or you look at it from the various platform perspective or various gaming perspective. So whatever new comes in the market, so either in terms of, I mean, X and Y coordinate, if I see, so the stakeholders, or in the other coordinate, I see the specific apps, specific sectors in which the problems can arise. So per se, there is no separate manual, but then this is one thing which comprehensively provides cyber security and cyber safety awareness for all the stakeholders. From our perspective, we, as you may be aware, that MIT had published the new intermediary rules 2021. The exact word is Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code 2021. And that is where, through a specific rule, namely Rule 32B, we are empowering any person whose non-consensual imagery, maybe impersonation, maybe sexual content, maybe some phone numbers, which is being misused, or any morphed image. For that reason, the person should be empowered by the rule, has been empowered by the rule to seek for removal of the content from the concerned platform within 24 hours. And because the person may not be directly knowing, may not be a user of that particular platform, may not be knowing as to how this platform content can be removed, we are also empowering not only the person, but anybody on the person's behalf. And therefore, they can be the parents, they can be the lawyers, they can be law enforcement agencies, and they can be, in fact, we have already approached MWCD, that it can be NCW, it can be NCPCR, it can be NGOs also, which are called as trusted flaggers in the context of intermediaries. We have Captain Vineet, as representing CPF, and CPF is the trusted flagger on the Facebook, the YouTube. So we are trying to come up with I should say, a guideline document, because rule in itself may not be good enough and may not be, widely known. So we are trying to come up with a small guideline document, including annexures from Twitter and Facebook and Google and whoever is willing to join with us, to be able to come up with a comprehensive document as to how the request and where exactly the request on such popularly known social media platforms can be made.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing that. And I don't think there's anyone in the tech policy world who has not taken note of the issuing of the IL rules last year. So of course, we all very well remember that very clearly. So thank you so much for sharing your insights, sir. Moving on to Harmeet, I want to hear from you on a lot of what, sir just shared. You're like literally on the ground dealing with a lot of this cyber crimes and also frauds, and especially with the increase in the pace of digitization, the scale at which this takes place is pretty fast. While with digitization, you're able to create a larger footprint as well of the criminal, but it also means it becomes a little difficult to get hold of them in the real world. So, please share with us, what has been your experience, and also tell us more about, the general initiatives that even the Assam Police has launched, called Cyber Secure.
Okay, so thank you for having me on this panel, Pragya and Vineet, and to all the new friends I made today. Let me start by, I'm not too much into formality, as people who know me are aware. So I will do away with the formal parts of the conversation, because they only unnecessarily take up time. adding to what Narendra ji said and what Maheshwari ji said, I want to first flag two issues before we go forward. When all of us get together and talk about cyber safety and security, our focus ends up being on the urban areas. Our focus ends up being on a certain part of society, and we forget that not only pre-COVID, not only due to COVID, but also pre-COVID, our government has been pushing the idea of a digital India. And a digital India has gone way down. We cannot even imagine where it has reached in the rural hinterland of our country. And with COVID coming in, when everything went online, forget your social interactions and PLU, as they say, people like us kind of a story, having Zoom parties, which is a minuscule part of the population. Everybody was connecting on different kinds of social media platforms. But the main thing which we must focus on, where you people come in and your program, which I must say is a great initiative, comes in, is financial transactions. So we, as a government, the Jan Dhan Yojana, the various Yojanas, the bank accounts have gone down almost to the last man in this country. Now that last man in this country is not so savvy, but he does have a smartphone today. That smartphone, by a bank manager, by a bank clerk, by somebody, a cousin, a brother, a nephew, is connected to his bank account. Now that is where there's a lot of fraud happening, which doesn't come into the radar of the cybercrime portal of MHA. It doesn't come onto the radar of the police because वो 2,000 रुपए है, वो 5,000 रुपए है, वो 4,000 रुपए है. But उस आदमी के लिए या उस lady के लिए that 5,000, 4,000 is a huge amount of money. So as you said, anecdotes, Pragya. So let me start by an anecdote. My cook, who's a member of our family, went to marry his daughter. So he left for the Himachal hills and we got ourselves a private cook as a help. And I was alone in the house. And at about 12:30 at night, there was a banging on my door. And when I opened the door, he was crying and he was howling away. And I made him sit down and said, "Beta, hua kya? Batao to say, what is the problem?" So the garbled message that came was that at 5:30 in the evening, he had 1,05,023 rupees in his bank account. At 12:30 at night, he had 5,023 rupees. And he, for Adams, didn't know where the money had gone. So I said, "Tum mujhe dikhao, tumhe kya SMS aaya, kya message aaya?" We scrolled through his phone and realized that his brother-in-law had connected him into Google Pay, his account at SBI into Google Pay without too many safeguards. And somebody had sent him a few messages and asked him to share various things and press a yes here and a yes there. I don't use Google Pay, by the way. And khatak, the guy's money was gone. Thankfully, first thing in the morning, State Bank opened, we sent him there, and one had the resources to stop the money transacting further. But can you imagine how much of this is happening with people? So that's where Truecaller and Maiti and NSCS and everybody comes in. We have to really get down to educating every strata of society about cyber safety. I love that word of retrofitting that Narendra ji used. Narendra ji, you're absolutely right. So I have another anecdote where a very well-educated lady who has multiple accounts, but during the COVID did get cheated of 20,000 rupees in Delhi. She lives in Nizamuddin. So I'm giving you two sides of the spectrum. Okay, here is a doctorate. She has been a professor. Her husband was a former foreign service officer, then a member of parliament. You can't be better educated than that kind of a family.
Yeah.
She's cheated. This is Standard Chartered Bank where she gets cheated. This is State Bank of India, Google Pay, where this guy gets cheated. So we have to reach out and do things. So to ensure that people don't get cheated. And that the only way that is, one is our helplines. The number now I think has changed. So our government helplines and private helplines have to be a lot more robust. Our own people, that is the police across the country, have to be educated. Like we have a guy now in almost every police station who at least knows what to do preliminarily to help people when they come in with this kind of thing. But I know for a fact that in many rural areas, including our own, the police even does not know. They say, "Arey bhaiya, iska kya karenge? Ye to jamtara se hua hoga." So everybody has this word, jamtara se hua hoga, and that's the end of the story. But for the guy who's lost money or who has been defrauded, it's not the end of the story.
Yeah.
This was point number one that I wanted to flag. Point number two that I wanted to flag is sharenting. I don't think the ministries and others have still woken up to the sharenting thing. We have started pioneering the concept of sharenting, and I've spoken on a few international fora about that. So I think Barclays did a study a couple of years ago, and they feel that in another 5 years, sharenting itself will lead to frauds in billions of dollars. So identity theft, somebody spoke of cyber stalking, bullying, everything starts from sharenting. So if we don't wake up to sharenting right now, our entire retrofitting is not going to help if the parents don't know that they are not supposed to share things about their children. So here we were talking about that young girl, Sandra. She spoke about her experiences. So she spoke about cyberbullying and cyber stalking and blah, blah. I know I will not go into another anecdote, but I have at least 12 or 13 where cyber stalking has led to actual physical stalking because all your information is available. So now where do we stand? Two things. One is, I think Pragya and Vinita are aware of our campaign, which also got us the DEF award, which is think. So think before you click, think before you share, think before you press any button, think before you do anything. What are you sharing? Is it worth sharing? So if we play on this word think, of course, we even do think before you stalk and think before you dope. But we talk about think on every part of life. But as far as cyber is concerned, think before you click and think before you share are very, very important. On the awareness part, you see, don't mind my saying it. I'm an old man myself. I put in 30 years of service, but all our sarkari information that goes out is not very appealing even to older readers. We have a tendency to cram, and by the way, this is not that the sarkari people are making it. I think lots of consultants are getting a lot of money for making this kind of stuff. So what they cram in so much information कि जो हम बात actually कहना चाहते हैं वो तो रह जाती है. So the awareness actually doesn't go through. So for awareness, for ICE as it's called in government circles, अपने मुंह मियां मिट्ठू, memes, pop culture, that's the way. You have to attract people. We just did one, we used Pushpa.
Yeah.
On cyber fraud. It worked. It works. And everybody sort of wakes up and says, Acha, ye kya hai? A meme always works. So if you use memes positively instead of just using them to make fun of people, you use pop culture to reach out to people, you use Bollywood films, you use music, it works. So whatever we do, so we have to reach out there. And Pragya and CEO Saab, you'll be happy to know that today morning I downloaded Truecaller finally. Because for the others in the panel, I, for 20 years of my life, worked for an agency where there was no way you would use Truecaller except to find out who the bad guys were. But you never let on who you were. But now that my name and number is available on the internet, being back in public life, I downloaded Truecaller yesterday. And your Truecaller, this, I think, the blue tick from all over the place, once your numbers are Truecaller, can verify that, yes, this is the person, not as while Pragya and I were talking yesterday, somebody writing and saying police station and that coming up in Truecaller. So I think we really need to get all government agencies on board so that all numbers can be verified. And then Truecaller really comes into the game. And of course, Truecaller's base increases. So Vineet will not only help you with this true cyber safe, we'll come up with some memes and we'll come up with some songs. What we'll also do is, Pragya, we'll go in. I was thinking yesterday, and I haven't messaged Salik, my consultant, yet, but I thought what we'll also do is we'll help you guys increase your social media base. I was looking at your Twitter India, your Truecaller India handle. I was looking at Vineet's. We've been doing a little bit with Vineet, but whether it's policymakers, whether it's youngsters, your presence on Instagram and Twitter is most essential. Facebook is a localized game.
That's a lot of great advice, and I think especially what you said about verified numbers. We've been working with the Ministry of Home and also going to state state offices as well, because we have something called Government Directory Services, and there we are actually loading all important numbers. And similarly, even during COVID, we had actually pinned the COVID helpline number on our dialer. What we want to do with a number of these helpline numbers, 30, which is your financial fraud number, or the 112 helpline number, so that people don't have to search it anywhere. It's available right on top, because when you're in a vulnerable situation, you cannot think very clearly, and you want to be able to see things in front of you that can help you and solve for this problem. So we, in addition to the trainings that we're going to be doing, like you said, Harmeet, we are actually focusing on doing this in tier 1, tier 2 cities as well, and doing it in local language, because we don't only want to address the urban lot who are anyway digital, but address these first-time digital users who are also equally vulnerable, like the urban Indians are. So we, it really reiterates the effort that we've been able to put together with CyberPeace and with Vineet, with all that you've shared. So we have captured it as much as possible. And as you know, the first state that we're going to launch trainings in is going to be Assam. So looking forward to getting your inputs and insights.
Just to add to that, Vineet and I are already working on turning a lot of his literature into Assamese. So once you guys have your new literature ready, share it with me. I'll put a translator on the job, and then the technical people can look at it. We'll start turning it into Assamese first, and then into the other local languages. We have 88, so it'll take time. But let's go for the
Assamese thank you so much for all of that. Really appreciate it. Now I'd just like to move on to Nidish Bhatnagar ji, and get your thoughts on the Rashtriya Raksha University, which is an incredible initiative, because much needed, as we've been talking. There needs to be a lot of research around what's happening around cyber crimes, and I'd love to know more about what is the university about, what are your recent initiatives, and any other learnings that we can take away.
Thank you, Pragya, and it has been a pleasure listening to the other panelists speaking. Of course, Mr. Harmeet, or Hardy, if I may be permitted to use the term. I mean, I'm listening to him for the first time, but Mr. Maheshwari and Mr. Narendranath, I have been listening to them, previously interacting with them on various panels or even in the physical mode. And as Mr. Narendranath brought out that, there is a huge amount of proliferation of cyber. And let me see, I got some figures here that the wireless subscribers, which we have as of today, are about almost 1,200 million. I'm talking about India.
Wow.
Which the number of smartphone users are 748 million. And the average data usage per wireless data subscriber per month is 12.33 GB. And the reason behind that is typically that we have churned out one of the cheapest smartphones in the world. And our cost of 1 GB of data is one of the lowest across the globe. I mean, you compare yourself when we're traveling overseas. First thing which I do is switch off my data and take a pack from there. Otherwise, by the time I come back, I would have jumped a bill of, which is going to be huge. So that is there. And with the Digital India initiative of the Government of India, we have fiber, we have Wi-Fi, we have data, which has percolated down to the last village. I mean, it was about 250,000 panchayats, if I'm not wrong, previously, as per the Digital India initiative. Now they're talking about revenue villages. It's already there. and the consumers are increasing by the day. But with this freedom, there comes a huge amount of responsibility, and there comes a huge amount of vulnerability also. Especially women, children, and so on. And what about a person, we were just talking about that person who suddenly has access to a digitized way of banking. He doesn't need to go. So for him, if he loses, and that person is such that if he loses even 1,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees, it matters to him.
Very true.
We have seen these scams which are there, phishing, wishing. Jantara, of course, has become infamous because of the wishing, the proliferation of wishing from there. And I'm so sure there are so many Jantaras across India, why across the globe. There's a similar scam which was there. My daughter is in New York. I mean, one day she just gave me a call, and that she got a call from the embassy of India that she's going to be deported. I said, for what? I said, you're doing your master's out over there. You got all documents. And why would the embassy of India deport you? She said, no. They have said that you wire $1,000 to this number. I said, relax. And that is where the embassy of India, they kicked in and they issue advisories. While my daughter had not read them, but the good part is that our government machinery is very much on the go. Now, continuing with the government initiatives, there are a huge number of government initiatives which are there. You talk about the I4C initiatives which are there, the National Cybercrime Reporting Portal, the 24/7 toll-free number which was launched last year in June, which is 155260. Mr. Maheshwari spoke about Cyber Surakshit and Certain. We have the Cyber Crisis Management Plan. We have the Cyber Swachhata Kendra, which is an amazing site for botnet cleaning and malware analysis to take place. The National Cyber Security Coordinator, his office, amount of work which they are doing out over there. And now we also need to gear up because the PDP is going to be an act very soon. At least I hope so. It has been in the parliament for some time. It's going to be an act very soon, wherein our data in itself needs to be so much more secure. Now, let's get back to the education community before I talk about various trends which are there. Now, with 2020 happening, and suddenly everybody was at home in not so secure locations and accessing the net, accessing the corporate communication, and students being online, be it school students. Suddenly you had students of class 6th and 7th, they wanted a mobile device or a laptop to get onto their classes. And it is not only the urban. I was, I was doing some work in Rajasthan, in rural India, and they also had online classes. Fine, they did not have laptops, they had mobiles, and they were on their online classes out over there. And at that particular point of time, in case there is only one mobile device or a laptop, so that device would be dedicated to that student for him or her to go ahead and do his classes. Now, there is a huge amount of vulnerability which was generated, be it in the student community, be it in the work from home. There were so many attacks initially. We had corporates going down because of ransomware attacks, corporates going down because of the servers were down because of cyber attacks which took place. Now, all those we learned during that. We learned firstly that this is the reality to live with. We also learned that we need to get more secure. We learned that we need to ensure that cyber awareness goes down. It is drilled down to the last person, be it as an advisory, be it by force, be it by persuasion. So all those things were there. Getting back to the education community, we had teachers and we had students. Teachers at that point of time, and I'm talking about academia because I was a part of that at that point of time, they were not so well versed with the awareness, if I say what it was. I mean, they were using the same laptop for communicating, be it on a Google Meets platform or a Zoom platform or any other or a Microsoft platform which is there, and they were interacting with the students. There were cases of outsiders entering a particular class. There were cases wherein data was being extracted, and a huge amount of personal information in those initial days went out. That information, how it could be used? It could be used to carry out social engineering attacks, to extract much more information, and it was anyone. Let's say there is a person of influence. His child is also going to school, who may not be aware of the exact security protocols which he or she needs to put in place. And that same machine, that same laptop would then be available to that particular person, to the parent, for him or her to carry out his official or corporate transactions. So there were huge issues which were there. Phishing and vishing attacks. There was a distributed denial of service, be it on academia, be it on schools, because in case there's a DDoS attack which has taken place, there would be a requirement to ensure that communication doesn't stop. Ransomware I've already spoken about. So we issued out guidelines, security tips for teachers, typically that all data needs to be backed up, encrypting, and for compliance with institutions' cybersecurity protocols. Something as simple as double-factor authentication. It is something which we advise that everybody should go in for that. Your devices, safeguarding of those devices from physical attacks, securing them, backing up your data, practice good password management. And then came down the challenges as far as parents were concerned. We already have spoken about predators in the cyberspace. They are out over there. Pedophile is there. Child pornography is very much a reality. Malware to be pushed in, and a lot of children, they are into gaming. I mean, they will play games on the digital space. They will not be aware about malicious ads coming in. They'll click on a wrong place, and you never know when your device is compromised.
True.
Identity theft. So again, we issued out advisory for parents and children. Also, we did a lot of work for I4C. We thought that we would contribute to I4C's initiative to revise the curriculum of the CBSE. So starting off from class 6th onwards, all the way up to class 10, as to what children in the new reality would be exposed to in class 6th, and how it needs to evolve all the way by the time they reach some level of maturity, that is in class 10.
No, I think those are some very incredible initiatives, and I know also, I think Vineet is also working with CBSE and NCERT to get a lot of these included in the main curriculum.
Absolutely. And rather, we also spoke about something as securing your home Wi-Fi.
Very true. Simple basics.
Basics which are there.
Yeah.
Rather, Vineet and I, we have been conducting a few workshops. Some of them are focused on capabilities, which of course are there. Some of them are on awareness. We took a workshop for honorable members of parliament, honorable members of legislative assemblies, and embassies and high commissions across the globe. We have also taken workshops for academia, for corporates, and so on. And it is, awareness is an issue.
Yeah, no, absolutely, sir. I think, and that is why, we thought this training initiative, and also making it cool and making it simple, like Hardy was saying, can you make it aspirational? Can you make it appeal to the millennials? That's very, very important. And actually, we do a research every year. And this year in the US, our research came out with a staggering $29.8 billion were lost due to phone scams just in the US. And that's obviously, we see US as a very mature digital economy, and they have had these problems. So we can only imagine, if we don't do enough to create that level of awareness now, we can have a lot of complications. But thank you so much for sharing your insights, and I'll just hand it over now to Vineet to also share his views on this issue. And then, since we're running out of time, I'll ask Mr. Maheshwari for a few things, for a few wrap up statements, and then we can wrap this session up. Please, Vineet, over to you.
Thank you, Pragya. I think enough has been said already by the other speakers, and let me first of all thank everyone. So fortunately, we have been working with everyone, and I feel we have brought the right set of speakers on board. We have representation from the industry, we have representation from the academia, we have representation from the civil society, and also the government. And that to right stakeholders from the government, like Dr. Rakesh Maheshwari being there, Nidish Bhatnagar being there. He represents both the Ministry of Home Affairs as well as the academia side of it, because RRU is the Institute of Eminence and also a Ministry of Home Affairs institution. So he's there. G. Narendranath sir, again, he being there from the National Security Council Secretariat, from the Office of the National Cyber Coordinator. So I think who's who is already here for the campaign, and enough has already been said about how to do, what to do. A lot of takeaways. I've been just making note about all the suggestions from our eminent speakers. So I have a lot of takeaways there. But yes, one certain things that I'd like to share here is the way we have kind of planned the campaign is because, again, as CyberPeace Foundation, there's a lot of stuff that we do on the ground. And we, as a foundation, we're not just limited to working in the urban cities. We go into the rural areas, we work with the people on the ground. We also go to the tribal areas. So the reach of the foundation is to the remotest corner of the country. And that's what we want to kind of come in once we are joining hands with any, like we have been working with other partners, with Facebook, with Meta, with Google, and now Truecaller. So we have been working with different kind of platforms to kind of share the problem that ordinary the netizens are facing, and work with them to kind of solve that problem. And when I say that, it is again, the different kind of netizens who are here. We are trying to cover all age groups, all income group, and probably all geographies also. Initially, the major focus, again, is to reach out to those areas where not much is being done. Like selecting the northeastern state was one reason why we selected northeastern states and not Delhi initially to launch the campaign. So that is one thing that we have done, which again, just to answer to Hadi sir, is we are reaching out there, and that's why we are beginning things with Assam. The other thing is, again, the content is going to be multilingual. We are kind of engaging some content experts who actually specialize in pushing content on different social media platforms, and also kind of creating those ambassadors, community ambassadors who are going to be there. We already run one of the world's largest cyber volunteering program called as the CyberPeace Corps. It's in fact the very first program that started, quoted by the New York Times and other countries. As of now, the volunteer spread is around 40 countries. So hopefully we'll be also making use of these volunteers also to kind of disseminate the information far and wide. So it's not going to be a touch and go approach. We are beginning here, and that's what has been our focus at CyberPeace Foundation, that we don't do anything that is just touch and go. We are all about building or working on those campaigns which is sustainable and which creates an impact on the ground. So that's what we try to focus. So these are my initial kind of comments here. Yes, we are going to cover on cyber ethics. We'll be covering responsible behavior, financial frauds, and again breaking down to OTP frauds, matrimonial frauds, which again a lot of people have suffered. During even COVID-19, a lot of people were duped, and in fact, in the name of medicines and other stuff. So we are going to run those campaigns so that people are well aware about the frauds that happen, especially the financial fraud. And next would be the reporting aspect. So what to do when something goes wrong. So things can go wrong anytime, anywhere. So we kind of would make people aware about reporting, not just on the Government of India platform. Like 1930, the number 155260 has now been changed, and it is 1930, where people can report crimes. And there are other things like the DMCA request, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and other things that are there. So kind of making people aware about those things and making netizens and empowered netizens is something that we'd like to focus on. And yes, there are certain set of activities, certain competitions, and again, different ways wherein we'll be engaging people also to kind of reshare the content, to participate in the campaign. So that's what, yes, it's going to be a huge challenge for all of us, because India is already going to the IMEI statistics, 622 million in just last year, and by 2025 will be 900 million active internet users. So it's a long, I would say, base for us, a long territory for us to cover. So, but yes, with the support of all the stakeholders and institution, even the panelists who are there, I think we'll be able to create a mark in this. So thank you again, everyone. Thank you.
And it reiterates to me that we've chosen absolutely the right partner to launch this program with. It has you have all the right competencies. So we're really looking forward to this. Just very quickly, any wrap up comments, Mr. Maheshwari, if you would have for us, or any other advice, I'd love to hear from you. I think you're on mute, sir. Yes.
All the best from my side, and in whatever capacity, in whether personal or official, I am willing to participate.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes.
That means a lot. Thank you so much coming from you. Harmeet, would you like to share any wrap-up comments, advice? Of course, we'll be seeing you soon in Assam, so looking forward to that.
Simple one-liner, let's get this done.
Sure, absolutely, we're on it. Colonel Nidhish Bhatnagar ji.
Totally agree with Hardy. Let's get this done with him.
Incredible. Thank you so much. Yes, and I think we've always had a very collaborative approach, because we understand that this is a very big problem, and a company just like Truecaller cannot solve for this on our own. So we're so happy to have the support of all the relevant ministries and also CyberPeace Foundation to get this all and create the right level of impact and awareness on cybersecurity and how can people tackle fraud in an effective way. Thank you so much again for all the advice and the anecdotes. Very, very important to us. And we'll keep sharing the progress with all of you and keep taking your inputs and feedback, and especially advice on how we can keep building this. From a Truecaller point of view, this is going to be an always on kind of approach. I don't think it can solve just one program, or going to 5 regions is going to solve for this. So we'll keep building on this year on year. And we're very excited to have all the support from you. Back to you, Abhishek. Thank you so much again.
I would like to thank all the panelists to provide their expert opinions upon the cybersecurity and the factors affecting the same in our country. I'm sure our audience today has learned a lot about cybersecurity and cyber safety, along with the factors and characters which are affecting the same. Now I would request Mr. Kumar Vikram, the manager of projects and designs of CyberPeace Foundation, to please give to the board. Thanks.
Thank you, Abhishek. Shri G. Narendranath, Joint Secretary Cyber, National Security Council Secretariat. Shri Rakesh Maheshwari, Scientist G and Group Coordinator Cyber Laws and Security, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India. Colonel Nidhish Bhatnagar, Director School of IT, Artificial Intelligence and Cybersecurity, Rashtriya Raksha University, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. Shri Harmeet Singh, IPS, Commissioner of Police, Guwahati, Assam Police. Ms. Sandra Manoj, Mr. Rishit Jhunjhunwala, Chief Product Officer and MD India, Truecaller. Major Vineet Kumar, Founder and Global President, CyberPeace Foundation, and the valuable audience. I, on behalf of CyberPeace Foundation, extend a heartfelt gratitude to all the honorable guests for taking out time from their busy schedule and blessing us with their kind presence. I express my deep sense of gratitude to Shri G. Narendranath, Joint Secretary Cyber, National Security Council Secretariat, for launching the True Cyber Safe campaign. I would like to thank Mr. Rishit Jhunjhunwala, Chief Product Officer and MD India, Truecaller, for joining us in the launch program. I would also like to thank all the panelists for sharing their concerns and ideas to make the cyberspace peaceful. I wish and hope that this campaign will prove to be the stepping stone in ensuring a peaceful coexistence for all in the cyberspace. I would like to thank Major Vineet Kumar, Founder and Global President, CyberPeace Foundation, for his continuous efforts at CyberPeace for making this campaign a reality. Sir, we at CyberPeace Foundation look up to your continuous guidance to succeed. I would like to thank all my colleagues from CyberPeace Foundation who have worked hard in every endeavor and are continuing to do so. I also thank the team of Truecaller and especially Ms. Pragya Mishra Mahershi to initiate this campaign to reach out to masses and make them aware against the prevailing cybercrimes. Last but not the least, I would like to thank the audience without whom this event would not have been a reality. We at CyberPeace Foundation continue to look for your support in future. Thank you. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone. We'll keep in touch and we'll keep taking your advice. Thank you. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Harmeet, sir. Thank you, Nidish, sir. Thank you, Rakesh, sir. And Narendranath, sir. Thanks, Pragya. Thanks, team. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, everyone. Have a nice day ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Bye.
Pragya. Thank you, Abhishek, Vikram. Thank you, Nidish, sir.
Yes, ma'am.